warm welcome to Galaxy TV. This is Good Morning Africa, and my name is Sisanda. Thank you very much for joining us. Today I am joined with our Ambassador Yusuf Amran, all the way from Morocco. You can imagine it's a beautiful day, and we're definitely going to have the blast because we are at his residence. You can imagine we're going to indulge, we're going to have good conversation, we're going to have good food. I'm sorry I can't share with you, but you know what, it's going to be great. So without wasting much time, let's just get down to it. Ambassador, we really appreciate and we're very honored for you to join us at Galaxy TV this morning for us to be talking about this. And I'm sure that Africa is indeed excited and looking forward to this amazing conversation, and also just to get to know you a little bit, you know, outside of this whole diplomacy thingy. And a lot of people that have not actually been part of this, they've got to realize that you're such a very fun person to be around. Welcome to Galaxy TV.
Well, thank you very much. I'm very happy to be your guest in my house, in the house of Morocco, a country who has a strong and historical relations with South Africa. So me too, I'm looking forward to enjoy this conversation, to exchange with you, to learn from you, because I am in a learning process now after 8 months as ambassador to South Africa.
Yes. Without going too deep and getting to our serious business of today, I would really want to find out, because this is a very important period as far as Islam is concerned, the period of Ramadan. Exactly. How is it treating you? How are you enjoying during this period?
I am fasting happily. I want to tell you that the fasting is not only an issue of Islam. It's an issue of all the religions. Christianity, Judaism, and so on. And you remember Moses, when he was waiting to receive the Torah from God, he was fasting for 40 days. So Ramadan, for me, it's and for all the Muslims, is a month of forgiveness, of spirituality, of tolerance. And I think in this month, we need to think about the others, and especially the deprived people. Yes. And this, I think, the main message of Ramadan. No, in this period of coronavirus, I'm away from home, without my family, because I'm confined here. But I found a second family, 2 families.
Okay, share about those families.
The first family is my team in the embassy, with whom I exchange on a daily basis, and sometimes we can have also, if we are in a very small group, share, because the Ramadan is also share the iftar.
Yes.
My second family is South Africa.
Yes.
I learned how to love this country. It is, of course, Morocco is in the north part of Africa, looking over the Mediterranean, and South Africa. I really love this country because of its diversity, because of its people, and because we are all of us today targeted, and we are always undergoing difficult period, you know, with this. So for me, Ramadan is not only a month of spirituality, but also a month of sharing with others. But now, as a diplomat, you know, it's a very relative concept, home for me, because I've been living in many countries of the world, in Latin America, in Mexico, in Chile, Colombia, in Spain. So the home is very relative concept.
While we add that, actually, when we're talking about home, I think we would actually, it's going to be about time where we just get straight into business now, and let us actually divulge on some of the topics that we're going to talk about here. But I mean, to start with, is that you've spoken quite a lot in the past, I mean, in different interviews that you've been part of, where you actually quote and refer as the fracture of the past. That's what you've been talking about in most cases. So now we want you to give us a little bit of glimpse, or rather give us examples of what exactly that one needs to do or one needs to prepare when you have to face, I mean, the unknown, to face the future. I mean, giving into the reference of the current situation with the COVID-19, which is actually one of the main reasons why we're actually having this topic with you, to try and figure out on how can Africa kind of, you know, approach this situation at the moment. So if you could actually give us a little bit on that part.
Yeah, exactly. As a diplomat, I must confess that the world has changed. Today is not anymore yesterday. And what we didn't do yesterday must become today our priority as Africans.
Exactly.
I think today what we need is an action to review all the international system, because it's not anymore appropriate to manage this kind of crisis.
Yes.
It's something new that we haven't seen before. And as you are aware, the United Nations, the international organizations were created to prevent wars, to resolve conflicts, but not to solve challenges and face difficult challenges like terrorism, like climate change, like migration, for example. So we need today to revisit, and I would say we need to implement the 3 R's. Our 3 R's are reshape, rethink, and refocus. Because the tools that we have today, the Security Council, WTO, are not today in a position to solve the ongoing conflicts, are not in a position to deal with these global issues. So we need to revisit all this, of course, because today we should build up a new world, which is not built anymore on confrontation, but more on empathy, on solidarity, on humanity. And I think we will have to play a role, all of us. And Africa, I think, must take the lead in this connection.
Diplomat, you have actually mentioned quite very interesting and quite very important points. I mean, talking about the challenges that Africa is actually facing. You mentioned things like your terrorism, climate change, and now we are faced with this COVID-19 being part of this. And it is actually a challenge that we all need to get into full force. And you also mentioned about the 3 R's that you mentioned earlier, which is quite very important, that now we can maybe take a look a little bit onto that. And how can then now Africa prepare herself into now facing this new dimension of life, and I mean having to adapt to this new formula of living?
Thank you very much for raising this question. It's very important for us. As you know, for Morocco, Africa is a priority in foreign policy. And what we need, in fact, today is to work together, to sit together, and to plan together. And this is something. And the second element for me, which is also crucial, is today what matters is how much job do we create, how much growth do we promote, and how we could respond to the expectation of our young generation in Africa. We have the capacity to do so. And to be able to move forward, I think we need 3 major elements again. We need good leadership. Leadership. We need a vision. Vision which is based on the elements I told you before. And we need commitment. And today, what is a priority for us is to learn to work together within the African Union to create the job. I know we are passing now through difficult moment, and one country alone cannot solve all this, cannot solve all these challenges, and we need to work together. So today there is a lot. We need more action. We need more concrete. It's not easy because we have to make a balance between the security and the health of our populations, and also the economic situation, because we cannot, continue in this trend. So I think what should be done today, not only reshaping, revisiting our tools, but we need to have more commitment, but without democracy, without the respect of human rights, without the crucial and important role of women. Because sometimes we forget that the woman is a central player, if I may say so, in Africa. Because the woman educates the children, she works, she does more efforts in order to build up. So what we need, in fact, is, as you say, as Africans, is to build a prosperous and audacious Africa. Counting first on our own means, our own capacities, and then we can seek for international cooperation, for support. But now, as Africans, we need to do our own homework. Transparency, accountability, leadership, good governance. These are the issues. We have no more choice than work together and plan together. So today, our future in our hand. We have a good opportunity to review all these mechanisms.
Yes,
We need to reinforce the African Union, and we need to move forward. This is the most important.
Definitely. Thank you so much, Ambassador. Without going, because actually I've got a lot of questions that actually came out from what you have just said earlier about Africa having good leadership. But before we get into the questions, we're going to take a very short break, and when we're coming back, we'll divulge more into these questions and give you more about what's happening today. And please do not forget that later on, we are going to be joined by my co-host, the Ambassador Elia spoke about diversity. Hey, you haven't met this one. You're actually going to get to see the caliber of South Africa in one. And when we are joined by my colleague, Fabienne Francis, when she's talking to the doctor. But at the moment, we are still with the Ambassador of Morocco. Stay with us. Welcome back again. My name is Sisanda and this is Good Morning Africa, and this is on Galaxy TV right here on Stassat. I am still joined by the Ambassador of Morocco, His Excellency Mnumzane. In Zulu we call it Mnumzane. I'll teach you Zulu afterwards, okay? Mnumzane Yusuf Amrani, who is joining us today, and we're actually talking and actually getting more details about what the situation that's happening, and actually taking on what the things that or the role of Africa during this period. Now, before going on break, Ambassador, you actually spoke about the way in which Africa can take responsibility by good governance, by making sure that we open opportunities for women. Quite very important point in there. I mean, there's this topic or this kind of say that says Africa needs to take or must take responsibility for its own destiny. These were the words that have been uttered by so many different leaders, but just to mention a few, the president of Rwanda, Paul Kagame, and the one that usually preach these ones more and more often is Professor Lumumba from Kenya. They've always been emphasizing on this very same call, and here you are as well. You are saying the very same thing. So it actually shows that leaders of Africa, including yourself, you already know what is it that needs to be done by Africa. Now, how do we start by implementing this? Because talking about it is one thing, but now acting or taking action with this, it's another thing. So now, how can Africa start now taking a responsibility for its own destiny?
Democracy, modernizations, ownership, priority to job creation. I think we should work for our own destiny. Mm-hmm. And there are many recipes, but we need, as I said earlier, strong leadership that can lead the country.
Maybe, sorry to cut you in there, Ambassador, maybe I should just maybe rephrase my question. Yes. Because if we are saying that Africa can actually take its own destiny or take responsibility for its destiny through the democracy and whatever, we've got countries like South Africa and many other African countries that are quote-unquote democratic countries. Okay. But yet we still see over and over again crises and difficulties in managing our own continent. We're seeing, those that call themselves first world countries, they are still having quite a lot of control and influence in our own country. How can we then say, using our current democracy, how can we then act and say now, as Africa, as a Democratic Republic of South Africa, together with Morocco or whichever other African countries, we are taking full responsibility for our destiny? What is the way forward?
Well, that's what I told you. First, peace and security is essential. We cannot today move forward if we don't solve the ongoing conflicts in the continent. And we have a lot of conflicts. Yeah. And then we need to have the infrastructure, yes, the vision, which is very important, how we want to shape our future model. Equality, yes, accountability, leadership, yes, and democracy are essential. And then depends on the countries which, yes, of what kind of model of development, agriculture, industry, Like in the case of Morocco, thanks to the vision of the king, we review our model of development, yes, because we were failed in some sectors and in two sectors, which are also crucial today in Africa. Exactly. Health and education. Health education are the drivers for economic development. And we need, you need this strong will, this strong policy to be able to move forward. And we need that, and we need the leadership. It's important. Of course, you mentioned democracy. It's a driver, social, and I know what you want me to say.
Yeah.
Is the equality in the distribution of the wealth. And this is essential.
Going, yeah.
We cannot have. We need to base our model of development on ownership, and to associate all the capacities, all the human resources of the country.
Yes.
And we cannot have two how you say levels,
yes,
or two classes.
Exactly.
Of we need to include all the men and women in the economic development process.
Now, Ambassador, let's just go into the current situation. COVID-19 has taken the world by storm, and we've been seeing in variety of reports that actually Morocco is doing quite very well. I mean, some of it being, they are exporting large quantities of masks to outside, and they've made it mandatory for each and every or Moroccan that is in the country or within the kingdom to wear a mask. And, it shows that the Morocco is actually going to the right direction. So what are the things, or what are the stands or the things in terms of implementation of these policies that Morocco has put in place in order to make sure that the kingdom is dealing quite very well with this COVID-19 challenge?
Thank you for asking this question. We are doing very well. Even our example, our model today is being praised all over the world, because we had first the leadership again. The king anticipated, because he gave priority to the security and to the health of our population than economic development. And the action was oriented towards three major dimensions.
Yes.
The first dimension is all health, and we have to mobilize all doctors, the hospital, the military, the civil. And I would like, if you allow me, to pay tribute to the doctors and others civil servant of the health in all Africa, and especially in my country, Morocco, who were committed and who worked day and night to save the population.
Yes.
So we had to work on the health system, anticipation in what do we mean that hospitals.
Yes.
Then we had a very unique model. Economic model.
Yes.
We have created a fund with a lot of billions of dollars in order to help the most deprived people who lose their jobs, to give them shelter, to give them help.
Yes.
And the third dimension is solidarity. And Moroccan people show solidarity amongst each other. And this was strong.
Yes.
And then at the economic field, we had new tools, innovations, like the mask issue, for example.
Yes. I think maybe if we can actually go a little bit more on this issue in terms of the things that Morocco is doing right in order to be able to tackle this. I think we can actually blow our own trumpet as Africa a little bit, because all the estimations and everything, they've been saying that when COVID-19 arrives in Africa, it will probably kill half of the population or whatever they're saying. But actually, Africa has proven that we are actually managing it way better than other African countries, and also to emphasize on the fact that you are saying we're paying tribute to the doctors and the nurses that are getting into this. However, Morocco currently is also, as we mentioned earlier, that they distributed more than 50 million masks that are being actually shipped outside of the country. Now, it's new employment opportunities that are coming in this, despite the fact that, of course, things are difficult. So now maybe if I would want to find out what will be the final part of it, because we're looking forward to the time where this whole thing is over, right? So what next? What then after this whole COVID-19 is over, with the mask and all those things that we're creating, then where to?
Well, you responded to the question by yourself. When Africans want, they can succeed.
Yes.
And we have something in our culture in Africa, is the concept of solidarity between each other.
Yes.
And this will help us, because you don't, when we have a father or old mother, you don't take them to this asylum. They stay at home, they have love, they have affection, and that's why we didn't have too much people, older people that died, because they were taken care by the families themselves. So Africa, when Africa wants to work, we can succeed. I think this is a lesson for the other nations when we want to count on our own possibilities, we can succeed. And I think this coronavirus showed us that we need to continue on this track. We need to show more solidarity, more empathy in the international relations, but also to use innovative tools.
Yes.
In the case of Morocco, for example, we had a lot of factories because we were a major exporter of textiles in Europe. So these factories were not working. So we said, okay,
let's think of something else.
Let's do the mask. And the mask, and then we had another interesting idea. The government has financed a part of the mask, the price of the mask. So everybody can afford to have a mask. It's about £1.
Oh, wow. That's really good.
And this was successful.
I was actually about to ask, is it something that they need to buy or they get it for free? Almost free. £1 per mask. Okay, before we take another very short break, I mean, we understand that COVID-19 has brought about a lot of changes. I mean, it changes the way we live, the way we interact with one another, the way we conduct ourselves, you know. There are things that you usually would do. You scratch your head, you scratch your nose, you do whatever. But right now, you're quite very conscious about everything that you do. This takes us and then into our life in business as to now how you conduct your business. Now, how we have this thing, we understand, you know, with us, the young generation, we've been holding a lot of things online and stuff like that, but I'm so sorry, with part of you guys, I cannot say the same. So has it been easy for you to run your interviews and everything, doing it on Skype or Zoom and stuff like that?
I will surprise you. At the beginning, I was a little bit preoccupied because I am a very active person. And I said, my God, I will lose my mobility. This was an assumption according to a wording of one of my advisors. But today, I think I learned to interact with the world through this media. I had the occasion to get very close to my team. I work with them on a daily basis through this new technology. So, and as a diplomat, it was important to maintain the contact with not only with the outside world, but your teams and your family. So we have changed. Of course, we need to adapt. But for me, maybe I am a passionate diplomat. So I am. So diplomacy blinds me and binds me. So this is the issue of. But so I'm very happy here in the month of Ramadan. I make my prayers. I have my time for spirituality.
Everything is going
and I can surprise you. I've been publishing a lot, writing in South Africa and in Europe and in Morocco about the future. I think will be not a bleak future, but future with a lot of opportunities for all of us.
That's perfect, Ambassador. That takes us back to when we say change is good. So having said that, let's take another very, very short break. And when we come back, we have got a very little bit. And please do not forget, we still have a whole lot more. I'm going to teach you how to cook Moroccan food. Welcome back again. We're still right here on Good Morning Africa. I am Sisanda. I'm still sitting with the Ambassador of Morocco. Now, before we go on break, we had a very interesting discussion about having to do things online. And we know that a whole lot of people were saying, oh no, I don't think I can do this and whatever. But you actually surprised me when you said that you're actually now even enjoying doing this thing online and you've got more time and you can actually see that you're doing things better, if I could put it, than you were doing before. But now let us discuss the issue of security. We have seen different incidents where we find people budging in, like a recent example of what has happened yesterday. The Department of Water and Sanitation here in South Africa, they were busy holding their daily meeting, but then all of a sudden somebody just appeared on the screen that they don't even know who this person, and it caused the whole commotion and the whole meeting to go into an abrupt halt. Now let's find out from you, Ambassador, aren't you afraid of somebody coming in? I mean, the issues of diplomacy are quite very private issues. So aren't you maybe having that at the back of your head that, you know what, maybe it's not safe to do things online?
Listen, we take our precautions as far as security is concerned. We have the tools. When we want to communicate through secretly, we can do it, take precaution. But today, listen, today there are not anymore not many secrets there. Secret is how who's going to produce a vaccine, who's going to have a military, but the rest, everybody is communicating. At the contrary, today, if you don't communicate, you cannot promote your ideas. You cannot tell your narrative. Listen, one very famous president in the world today, he uses Twitters to communicate. And this is, if I can tweet, you can, I think that the communication is a key issue today. So we have to take our precautions when you deal with confidential issues, but when it comes to telling narrative, telling your story, promoting a product, or promoting some ideas, I think you need to use communication, and we have no choice to use these new technologies. I don't know if I say Instagram, Twitter, internet.
Ambassador, you're on Instagram?
Yes.
Yeah, Ambassador is on Instagram. Hashtag diplomat. You're going to see that. But then before we go, Ambassador, I know that we're still having a whole long time to spend with you today. And part of it is us enjoying or being part, which we're very honored that you're inviting us to be part of the breaking of your day of Ramadan, which is called Iftar. Am I calling this correct?
Iftar, because Ramadan is sharing. And my country, Morocco, is an old country with a long history. Only our dynasty today is 6 centuries. So we love people. I'm here. One of my major action is what I call people to people.
Yes.
It is the most important for me if I leave South Africa, having been able to tell my narrative, to explain my vision, to explain my ambition. I will be more than happy.
We're definitely sharing the experience of what happens in Morocco, but we're here in South Africa. But that's thanks to you. So now tell us, if you can just a little bit, for a minute, to explain to a standard person who doesn't understand what is Ramadan for and what does it serve. Earlier you spoke about the issues of fasting, to say it is good for your health, it's good for your body. It's something that any other person, regardless of what religion you're coming from, fasting is actually good. But now when we associate fasting with this maybe religion at this point, well, can you just give us now outside of this just a bit of that?
Fasting is one of the recommendations of Islam, like praying. It's once a year, 30 days. You don't eat, you don't drink, and other pleasures are forbidden from dawn to the sunset. And it is a month of spirituality, of sharing, of empathy. I think we need in this world with a lot of conflicts, we need this kind. Of course, this is the true Islam, not the Islam, because I know where you want to go. The others, the extremists, they have no room for this kind of policy, for this of cohabitation, of this kind of relations. But Ramadan and also you have to behave well during Ramadan. You have to behave. Has exemplary conduct towards the others, and to the other religions also you have to respect. Like you came to my house today, I'm fasting, but I'm offering you some tea, and this is, I think, it's not tolerance, but it is, I think, it's a spirit of sharing with the others.
Yes. Thank you very much, Ambassador. As I said, it's still very early in the morning, so we still have a whole lot of time that we're going to be with you here until the evening, of course, where we're going to sit and eat with you. And this is actually very good for me because I'm going to cook for you today. Thank you so much, Ambassador. We will definitely be joined with you later on as we are taking you through with this. It's going to be a little bit more fun because I'm going to be with my colleague. So you're going to get to meet her. I'm sure you would love to get to meet her. Okay. So having said that, thank you so much for joining us, Ambassador.
Thank you very much. Thank you. I'm happy to be here.
As we have said, we're still going to be joined by Ambassador later on. And as I said, we're going to have a nice iftar. So, as of from me, merci beaucoup.
Je vous en prie.
Je parle français. But anyway, we see you again. My name is Sisanda. Till next time, stay tuned.